Coming up next on Walking with Dad.
I have never seen my mom or father. I can't recall a time I seen my mother and my father have a cordial conversation ever. So throughout most of my life, man, I credit my grandfather with being the priority, father figure in my life, man. He's been the one that's been there from the jump. I mean, from when I was in diapers through daycare center, through elementary, middle school, high school, college, and even now. I mean, the brother is 85, 86 years old, and he's flying down here to watch me conduct the band.
And welcome back to another great episode here at Walking with Dad. This is the place where we get our dads and our fathers' perspective on basically the significance about them being present within their kids' lives and within the family's life altogether, their presence and why that is significant. Here we celebrate Father's Day every single day instead of just a one singular calendar day of the year, each and every single year. Today's guest with us here at Walking with Dad, as I appreciate you all being here with us today. Special guest here today with me, with us. I have known this individual, man. Yeah, we're rolling up on about 20 years in a couple of years. Known this individual since specifically fall of 2006, where the both of us were what we referred to as rookies within the band at none other than the Norfolk State University Spartan Legion Marching Band at Norfolk State University. Currently, he is a father of two boys. Also, he is a band director at Suncoast High School in West Palm Beach, Florida. I am going to present to some, and I am going to introduce to majority of others, none other than Mr. Michael Cofield. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Nate? What's good, man?
Man, I can't call him, man. How you doing today?
I'm all good. What's going on, brother? How you feeling, man?
It's life is lovely and all that good stuff.
Yeah, still smiling, still black.
So for the people, once again, just a little bit of a backstory. Mike and I are rookie brothers, as we were once upon a time rookies or newbies in the band at Norfolk State University. So of course we went through our first year, and both of us together we marched 5 total years, I
I think
believe.
five. Yeah, I think five.
Yeah. Fortunately, on his behalf, and not so much on mine, he went on to be one of the drum majors within the band. I did not have that opportunity,
That is
so
not fortunate. That is not a fortunate opportunity. You know it. You know good and well. Dealing with the politics of that position, that's not fortunate. Resume wise, yeah.
so yeah, man. Yeah, man. So you are technically what, back home now in Florida, right?
Yeah. I'm about like an hour north of my hometown, but it's still home nonetheless, man. It's South Florida, so
Right.
it's still home.
And where is or where was home originally for you?
Home originally, which will always be my home, is Hollywood, Florida, man. Straight from the 954, West Hollywood to be exact. If you've never been, go to the beach. Check it out.
So Hollywood, Florida has their own beach, or are you just referring us to Miami Beach?
No. Every beach on the coast, every city on the coast of Florida have their own beach. It just depends on where you are. So if you're in Miami, you got Miami Beach. If you go further north, the first beach you'll hit coming out of Miami is Hollandale. Then you got Hollywood. Then you got Fort Lauderdale. Then you got Pompano Beach. Then you got Boca Raton Beach. Then you got Boynton, Delray, West Palm Beach, Florida. So you got all of these beaches up the coast, man. It's still the same thing, sand and water.
Okay, cool. So that was practically a test to actually see if you were actually from Florida or if you just studied Florida. Because to know all them beaches, I couldn't spit off all those beaches at all. So
well, I ain't from Virginia as much as I claim VA. VA is definitely my second home. What is it? VA two? I don't know how you do it. Whatever. Second home, bro.
okay, cool, man. So just a little bit of just currently for you. Give us a little brief bit of just you nowadays, like what you're up to. What is Mike Cofield nowadays up to?
Mike Cofield now is up to raising not one, but now two sons, two beautiful sons, man. My first one is 13 years old, named right after me, Michael Jr. And then my second one, he will be 11 months in the month of November, and his name is Kenji, and that translates in Japanese to second son. And I'm also a high school band director at Suncoast High School in Riviera Beach, Florida. Riviera Beach is in West Palm Beach, but it's in the Palm Beach County, so that's what we classify as. But it's in Riviera Beach in the city.
Okay, cool. So Kenji Cofield, and it just
Kenji
runs together like that.
Kenji William Cofield. William is his middle name. He's named after my deceased brother who passed away at Grambling. So MJ has my name, and my second son has Kenji William as his middle name to pay homage to my older brother.
Okay. Okay. Cool, man. Cool. And so I guess I could throw this out here a little bit early, but are you okay? Yeah. Are you either married
I'm
or
completely single.
okay?
I kind of figured that's where the question was going.
Because I didn't want to. I always like to want to make sure to be cautious of
Titles.
the sensitivity of
Yeah.
nowadays baby mother or
Yeah,
mother to child.
I hate the term baby mama. Man, I hate it. Both of the mother of my children, man, I let them know, and I'm very transparent with them. I do not condone the term baby mama. I never say it. I don't want nobody else to say it when it's referring to them. Like, don't say it around me. It's like a cuss word to me. That ain't the case, man. I ain't no child support. We don't do this court stuff. Ain't no custody battles. Ain't none of that stuff. And we're very open with co-parenting. I'm open with co-parenting both of my boys, man, and so are both of them, man. Beautiful Black women, man, and they love and support me as a father and as a hardworking man, man. There's really no issues there. So I respect them with with as much respect as I can give them as givers of my children.
Cool, man. And so with the co-parenting aspect and with it being two separate women, how is the relationship with you to them and then them to each other?
Well, it's very easy for me because that's a bad start, but it's still a truthful start. It's easy for me because I was upfront with the communication from the jump, and with MJ's mom, we were actually together. We were engaged. Things went south. We split. We broke up. We moved on. She went her way. I went my way. Both of my children are down here with me. They don't live with me, but I get them anytime I want to and all of that stuff, which is easy. As far as communication with both of them, I keep it very simple, very neutral. They have met each other. They know each other. They know each other's children. MJ's mom know Kenji. Kenji's mom know MJ. They've met. So it's complete open communication. They both know that it's just strictly co-parenting from here on out. And, I know everybody wants to know, oh, well, how was it dating? And you let other people around your children. That's not their dad. I'm their father. They know who the father is. And I know who I made children with. And I trust those women. So I don't have to worry about questioning who comes around them. So, everything is open, man. It's a really easy, open, co-parent situation. The hard part is just raising boys.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll touch on that throughout, obviously.
Okay.
Let's go back to childhood for you. Obviously, like you said, you're basically back at home in Florida. You ventured out here to Virginia, but as far as your childhood and your younger years, obviously from birth to 10, 11, 12, teenage years, were your parents both in the picture? And if they were they together or was it a separate situation for you?
I have never seen my mom or father. I can't recall a time I seen my mother and my father have a cordial conversation ever.
Wow.
In my life. If they did, I don't remember because it's a lot of trauma back then for my mom raising two boys on her own, man, and eventually a third, which was my third child, which was my sister, from a separate guy. And I don't recall much communication between them. It was a lot of this going on because my father at that time was still finding himself, and that's what I've chalked it up to now. I think he was still finding himself at the time when I was a younger child. And my brother was older than me. He was like a year and a half older than me. So as a baby, my parents were married. And then they got a divorce around, I think, when I was like 3 or 4. My father was not in the right mind. He wasn't doing the right things. He just wasn't living the right life. And my mom had specific standards that she had for herself and for her children. And so she went on and moved on and she remarried. All throughout grade school, I had a stepfather. He eventually passed away. And then my mom passed away when I was in college. So throughout most of my life, man, I credit my grandfather with being the priority, father figure in my life, man. He's been the one that's been there from the jump. I mean, from when I was in diapers through daycare center, through elementary, middle school, high school, college, and even now. I mean, the brother is 85, 86 years old, and he's flying down here to watch me conduct a band. You know what I'm saying? That's the gist of the father aspect in my history.
Okay, cool, cool. That was a lot to unpack.
I'm
So
sorry.
we'll no, that's cool because we'll take a
I'm a
few
teacher,
steps.
man. I can talk. Remember that.
So we'll take a few steps within all of that. For starters, I do think I remember that point in time back in college, man. So definitely my condolences to you and your family on your mother's passing, and from what you had mentioned too, also your brother's passing from before then.
Mhm.
How did your mother pass away?
That's a topic I'd rather not say, but she was sick and it was progressive. Eventually, like we like watched her over the years, like kind of fade away. And then by what was it? Yeah, January 29th, she had passed, man. So yeah.
Okay. And from what you had mentioned also, dad was in the picture. Is dad currently in the picture at all nowadays? Or is it solely just your granddad?
If we being completely transparent, my father is in the picture, but not how you would think a father should be to a son, especially at my age and my stance in life, man. There are things that he was absent on a lot and still is absent on, because or absent in because of the trauma from before, from splitting from my mom and not really being there a whole lot from when me and my brother were coming up. So, it's a lot of trauma from there. But there have been times where my father has stepped up and has completely just like been that guy, man. So, he's a great man, hardworking man, God-fearing man. He serves in the church right now, as one of the ministers on the minister board in his church. And, he's a great man. As a father, he has some shortcomings, but he's also still working through a lot of things, man. And I learned a lot from what not to do versus what to.
Okay. With your granddad, I think you mentioned something about flying from like out of town. So is he and of course I can only ask this because Florida is a large state, one of the
Mhm.
largest, obviously. Is
Yeah.
he also located in just another part of Florida or in another part of the country?
Nah, my grandfather's in Bronx, New York. Been there for like 55 years or something like that in the same place. Ain't changed. Phone number ain't changed, address ain't changed. Brother been there for 50 plus years, man.
Cool. So with the both of them in the picture, but just obviously practically drastically different dynamics. How has that been for you? Well, excuse me, how was that for you then? And I mean like then as far as earlier portion of your life, first half of your life. How was that then with having the two of them in the picture, but just in their different dynamics for you?
It was very effective, man. Like because of them, I've become the man that I have become today. My father, watching my father, he would come and pick me and my brother up almost every weekend, man. And we'd go with him. He had this AC unit business. It was his business that he owned, and it was called William and Sons. My father's name was William. My grandfather's name was William also, and so that's where my brother named William come from.
Gotcha.
And he had this AC company called William and Sons, man. He would come and pick us up on Friday afternoon after school. We on the route with him, going to hit like 2 or 3 houses to finish up for the weekend. We go out to eat somewhere Saturday morning. We up first thing in the morning on Saturday morning, go and get breakfast. We on the route, fixing ACs, man. So I watched him work. That's what my father was. He was a worker, a hard working man, still hard working to this day. My grandfather, the same thing. I would go to New York every summer. My grandfather's in the church. He was the head deacon of the church. And when I say the head deacon, the head man. You didn't have a t-shirt, you didn't pay tithes, you didn't do nothing unless if it came through Deacon Cofield. So throughout the school year, I'm watching my father work in his company, and I'm watching my grandfather work during the summer at this church. So all I knew were hard-working men and taking care of your family, taking care of your children, taking care of your wife, taking care of your community. That's all I knew. So as a child, they implemented everything in me that I needed, man, as men and as fathers.
And why would you say, obviously, because you were exposed to that coming up, why would you say nowadays in today's society with, younger men or, young boys even coming up, especially becoming young fathers, why would you say that that was so significant or as significant for you of you learning that compared to today's young men?
Why is it significant for today's young men?
Yeah, I mean, because you had the exposure to learning that.
Right.
I'm not going to say that those examples are not in place today,
Mhm.
but obviously we know of what's always been around, single parent household. Father may or may not be in the picture for whatever reason. So for you, of that being significant of what you were able to learn, why would you say that that's so significant for today with a young man that's coming up in today's society?
A man got to work. That's just the first rule that I learned. You got to work. You ain't no man if you ain't got no job. If you ain't got no job or no steady source of income, you ain't no man. That's the first thing. Now, whatever job you might have, you might not have enough money to afford your own place. You might not have your own, enough money to afford your own car. That's fine. But you have a job. You ain't out here asking nobody for money. You know what I'm saying? You ain't panhandling on the corner trying to skeek, skeek a dollar from somebody. You out there getting your own. So what was implemented with me, and I didn't even, at that time, of course, when you were a young boy, I'm sure you've seen it with your father or your grandfather. When you're young, you see them getting up, going to work every day, boom, doing their thing. You just like, oh, yep, dad got to go to work. Oh, grandfather got to go do this. That's just something that that they have to do, but you're not thinking as a man. So when you see that as a boy, you automatically are programmed into that mindset that this is what a man should be doing. Getting up, going to work, coming home, ain't causing no ruckus. If he got to cook, then you cook. If you got to clean, then you clean. That ain't above no manhood. That's just what you got to do. And I've seen my grandfather get in there and clean bathrooms before. I've seen my dad get in there and clean the kitchen before. You know what I'm saying? And my mom's dad was the same way. That might be the hardest working man I've ever seen in my life. That brother worked 3 jobs, never complained. As an old man also, but I get into that later also.
All right, man. I do my best to listen when folks speak, and I just got to ask this because you had mentioned it just real briefly. What exactly is skeek?
It's just a term. I don't even know if it's a real term, but I just use it like, you know what I'm saying? You trying to squeak off, you know what I'm saying? I think it's like a term like to say squeak off, like you just trying to squeak off a couple of dollars on the corner or something like that. Hey, let me hold $2 till Friday. $2. If you asking for $2, you don't need to be asking for $2. If you asking for $2, you got a problem. Just saying.
All right, man. But like for real though, would you say of your observation of seeing those men, 3 examples of what you were able to point out, constantly working, constantly providing, would you say that of what you know nowadays, was any of that taught or was it more so caught?
Oh, that was definitely caught. That was definitely caught. My father, I don't ever really remember him ever sitting down and saying, as a man, you got to do this. He taught me things about, being a man. But when it came to that aspect, then no. My grandfather, yes, that was taught and caught. That brother would talk my head off about things about being a man. And, I being a youngster at that time, all I cared about was band and chilling with the homies and, just doing whatever. That just wasn't nothing that I really attached on. But I definitely caught most of that stuff. My grandfather did a lot of teaching.
Okay.
Oh,
Would
and
you?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you
Let
good.
me preface that when I say my grandfather, I could be talking about my grandfather from my father's side or my grandfather from my mother's side. They were both equally as impactful to me coming up.
Okay, so he was also in the picture enough. Your
Oh
your
yeah.
grandfather on your mother's side.
My grandfather on my mother's side practically raised me as his son because he was down here in South Florida with us, and
Okay.
he unfortunately passed away in 1998 from cancer. And
Okay.
so he was also a deacon in the church. So I was pretty much practically raised by the church, which explains my old man mentality, man. But yeah. So that's where I get the hard working side from, is from both of them and my
For
father
sure.
also.
For sure. For sure. All right. That's what's up, man. So now that you have 2 boys, And you mentioned obviously that Junior is 13 or teenage years altogether. What are just a few things that you've learned over time that obviously with him being way older, and then of course you'll have time catching up with your other son, but just a few things that you've learned that you've also been able to teach to him.
Man, how much time you got?
Take your time, brother.
Nah, I ain't gonna run up all your time, man. But I'll just say that MJ is my world, man. Like that kid has taught me things that he didn't even, he never verbalized nothing to me. It was just learning how to communicate with a son in this day and age. And me being a teacher, those students, Mr. Kofi, you like a father figure, I get it. But when you got to go home after dealing with other people's children and deal with your own, it's like, oh shoot, man, like this is something that's real heavy. And the thing that MJ taught me the most was compassion. I can admit that I was never really a compassionate person before MJ came along and he started to grow up. And I had to learn how when he cries, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of vulnerability. And you can't go around saying, oh, boys ain't supposed to cry. You can't. No, man. That kid is being vulnerable on the side of him that he probably wouldn't show his friends. He probably wouldn't show a teacher, but he's showing you. And I had to learn that, man, over time. So I would say compassion is what he taught. Patience also. A lot of patience.
Yeah, you threw that in there pretty quick. So it seems
Yeah.
like that was a great lesson learned.
Yeah. A lot of patience, man. A lot of patience.
Patience and compassion. So with the drastic age difference between your sons, I mean, we're guesstimating, obviously. What can you say is something that you can see yourself teaching your younger son by the time that he's not even 13 or so, just 7, 8?
Oh man, I think one of the first things that I missed with MJ that I wish I could take back, but I know I can't, is taking responsibility without excuses. I would sometimes help make excuses for MJ when he was younger because it's my first baby. Like, that's my baby. MJ could be 22 years old. You gonna still be my baby. It's just gonna happen. But with Kenji, I could already tell right now, as young as he is, still in diapers, but I know when he gets older that the responsibility factor without the excuses are going to come into play really, really quick. And that's as soon as he start learning words, he's going to know that. But also teaching him to be mentally and emotionally aware that, you can be whoever you want to be, man.
And it was one thing that you had mentioned too, while you were talking about Junior, was just the communication aspect and the communication part of things. Why is that so important between, in your instance, a father to a son, but even just a parent to a child? I would say in this day and age, we're just all together. Why is that so important?
I want to try to stay away from generalizing, so I'll just use an example. Okay. In most cases, I just generalized, but
teacher.
Hey, I'm a teacher, bro. In some cases, you have families. I'll just take this as a family aspect, not even as a father thing. You have families that avoid the tough conversations with their children, man. They avoid it. And they avoid it because they don't want to make the child feel uncomfortable. They don't want to intrude on their personal space. They don't want to make them feel like they have to respond to their parent. But if you have that communication and that relationship with your child from when they're in diapers, you don't have to be concerned with that. They're going to come to you with things even before you have a chance to even talk to them about it. If you have that camaraderie with your child, if you have that communication with your child, but everybody, they're not fortunate to have that. So we can't say, what would it be if it was this, everybody don't have that opportunity. So, people have to learn to work and build up that relationship and that communication, with them. I hope I answered your question.
I'd say, yeah. And I mean, we could touch back on it in different ways. But at the same time, and I try kind of not to speak so much of society, but obviously, that's what we're living in, whether we like it or not, or we want to realize it or not. There are instances and topics of conversation that obviously, if it were to start within the family household, that could make things a bit easier. I was going to say, kind of like Michael Jackson, it would make this world a better place, but could make things a bit easier, especially communication wise, if we would, learn how to communicate. And obviously, that communication ideally should start within the household or within the family. And, of course, we fairly relatively the same in age, that upbringing has been different. I'm not talking about like, somebody having it way harder or way easier than the next person. I'm talking about like, you know, time spent or time invested in a child versus nowadays, YouTube and tablets raising children.
Yeah, that's a real thing, man. It's a real thing, and it's a real thing because again, as a teacher, I see it. MJ's mom, man, we were on it from the jump. Well, she was on it from the jump. Let me just tell you, man, that woman there is a spectacular mother. I wouldn't trade her for the world. I'm telling you, it's because of her that MJ right now is a straight A student. You know what I'm saying? It's because of her. And Kenji's mom is the same way, man. She's an amazing mother also, man. Brand new to the world, but she's an amazing mother. And it's because they both, as different as they are, they both have the same mindset in the upbringing of a child, man. And that's making sure that they have the humanistic instinct and the communication abilities. Before you get in touch with that screen, you able to communicate, face to face, to remain, what is it, interpersonal? Interpersonal. It wouldn't be intrapersonal, it would be interpersonal. So, to make sure that they have that. But that electronic stuff, man, it will run. You turn a screen on and it's like, boom, that's it. It's almost the equivalent of like Sega Genesis and PlayStation for us, man.
True, definitely taking it back, definitely. And so, like, yeah, with you being a teacher, like, what are some of those examples of what you've just been able to experience as far as, and I mean, I don't know, I don't want to really beat the communication aspect so much in the head or whatever, but what are some instances of what you've seen as far as like a disconnect of different students, and plus you're in high school too, of different students of not getting that attention, being raised a certain type of way, especially with like, electronics rather than that like one-on-one sit down time with somebody?
The best example, like I teach AP music theory, toughest class in the world to teach. Anybody that want to debate me, come find me. AP music theory is the toughest course to teach in high school. And there are days like we might finish the lesson early or something like that, or it's like a day where it like might be something going on at the school, like a pep rally or something like that, and it's like a 30-minute class, and I'm like, hey, y'all just sit and chill or whatever. Nobody's talking to nobody. Heads are down, faces in screens. Nobody's talking. So I have this thing where I have a Bluetooth speaker with a microphone, and I'll go out there, turn the Bluetooth speaker on, and just set it there and just start running off jokes. Just literally just trying to get them to communicate, man, face to face. And eventually I'll get most of the class up listening to me, talking about current events, talking about sports, talk about celebrities, talk about the school, talk about anything locally, just trying to get them to talk and communicate because of that aspect, man. And you don't know what those kids are doing when they go home. I got students, well, I know I had students at previous schools where they ran the house. And I know it's probably teachers listening to this, like they're not shocked. They ain't surprised by this at all. Some of those kids run that house. They don't do no dishes. They ain't cleaning up. They ain't doing no yard work. No, they in their room on their phone, headphones in. And when they come to school, they bring that same mentality to school. So I run into that barricade, and teaching music, that's something that a lot of people can't communicate with, man. So you got to find that connector, and it's tough, but I make do. I hope I answered your question again.
Yeah. You
got to tell me, man. I'm a teacher, and I will tangent in the quickness, dude. I will go off.
No, yeah, man. Actually, I wish I probably did take that teaching route, but at the same time, I'm glad that I didn't, because I'm not probably trying to deal with a lot of people's kids and bad kids, and you're not trying to pay attention to what I'm trying to teach you, and I'm in here trying to teach you something that you don't know.
You go take it back to the trombone section room. You go go back to those days.
I'd probably just go to the principal's office and just let him know I just can't do this. I just can't do this. And that'd probably be like week one, if not day one.
Yeah, bro. Hey, I have a saying: if you're 99% sure that you want to be a teacher, don't teach. You better be 100% in on this thing, man. If you're 99% sure, don't do it.
Yeah. So Yeah, I don't even think I was anywhere close to 99. It could have been about a 9%. So,
Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh, bro, you wouldn't even made it through the fingerprinting process. You probably would have, Mr. Caldwell, can you come and get fingerprinted? I gotta get fingerprinted. Nah, I ain't going. Y'all keep it.
No, y'all can keep that. Y'all can keep.
Hey, man, it is what it is, dog. You know your calling.
And so, like, let's touch on that a little bit too. With you being a teacher, obviously having been around teachers, and how long has it been for you teaching now?
Oh, that's a good question. Man, I started in 2011. I took 2 years off to get my master's. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going on 11. I'm going on 13 years now. No, I'm going on 12 years now. Sorry. Yes, I still count on my fingers, people. I teach music, not math.
All right, man. So,
I hope this gets some good ratings, man. I really hope it gets some good ratings.
so to that, being a teacher, and I actually had another band director, obviously teacher, speak before as far as what you had touched on too, kind of stepping in as being like that father figure role within the classroom.
Yeah.
But speak a little bit about the difficulty of you being a teacher, but you're also a parent yourself, but having to play that role of, being teacher, father figure, but you're having to teach these students on different disciplinary levels within their lives. Of course, by the time that you get them.
It's easy for me because I don't change my hats, I guess if you want to say.
Okay.
Like I'm a father at home, a father in the classroom. Now I don't carry myself like a father in the classroom, but it's in me. I can't help it. It's just like, being a drum major. Like I was a drum major for so doggone long at Norfolk State. I can't help but to be a drum major as a band director. You know what I'm saying? So it translates over. So when the kids, like now the school that I'm at, going into my third year, the first year it was like, oh, Mr. Cool, Mr. Kofi, cool. Second year roll around, hey, I don't want to mess with him. He ain't with it. So now I know going into this third year, man, I'm definitely gonna take on more of a father role. And what's the weird fact is that I don't have daughters, but those female students gravitate to me because I treat them like daughters. You can't come into my office showing no flesh. Anything upper body. If your belly button is out, if your upper chest is out, you got to go put on a jacket or a shirt. You don't have one, I have one. You go put this on if you go come in my office. Because the last thing you go hear is a Palm Beach County Schools employee was apprehended for, no, that ain't happening. Not here. You go cover up. The fellas, pants will be pulled up, no headphones on. So when you come into my office, no headphones on. I want to be able to talk to you. You got to be able to talk to me. So those are just a little bit of fatherly aspects that I have that I uphold in my classroom. And my students know I'm not a mean teacher. I'm just a strict one. And I hold my classroom to the same standard as I hold my home with my own children. You ain't cussing. You ain't doing nothing stupid. Don't hit nobody. Don't horseplay. Don't break nothing. You know what I'm saying? Stay out of people's business. Mind your business. If you sick, go on somewhere. It's the same stuff, man. If you bring trash in, put it away. It's simple things, simple standards that's respectful, but also that's needed in today's society.
For sure, man. And you had mentioned having been obviously, and it's not a secret. I mean, anybody could look up Norfolk State University Spartan Legion marching band from the years that we marched, and they could see in the front of the band Michael Cofield as drum major.
Mr. Spartan, Mr. Spartan, not Michael Cofield, Mr. Spartan.
Mr. Spartan.
I just had to get you
in front of it. But you had mentioned, being a drum major, having taught you, different aspects of what you're able to, carry into just life altogether now. And, I been on social media, seeing different, band posts and stuff like that. And, just I don't want to put my foot down, but to kind of set the record straight, a lot of people want to joke around about like marching band or band as far as like, American Pie and this one time at band camp and stuff like that, even though there are numerous band camp stories, obviously. But, as anybody knows, an HBCU marching band is as much of a sport as any of the other sports that are getting or maybe not getting any kind of recognition, especially when it comes to practice time and preparation and sleep or the lack thereof and all that. But what I'm trying to get at is, having been drum major, but also having been in the band, what are some things that you would say that were disciplines, regular, everyday practices that were in place of what you learned that you have been able to take and implement in life nowadays?
I always say that I say you can ask any of my students right now. You can do anything you want to do when you ain't on band time, but when that clock strike, you better be in place. That's the one. It sounds simple, but let's think back to when we were in band. You know what I'm saying? You in college? Hey, you want to go out and party the night before? Go ahead, go do that. Go ahead, go. But when that whistle blow at 9 a.m. for a Saturday morning rehearsal, if you ain't there, ain't nobody looking for you. But we go see you walk across that field. We gonna see you walk in that band room late, and you're gonna have to talk to somebody, you know? So that's one thing that I took from it. So even now in my adult life, I want to stay up, you know what I'm saying? During football season, when the game on, and it's a good Monday night game, and that thing going into 2 overtimes, and it's rolling to 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. or whatever, and I know my clock, I got to get up at 7:30. I got decisions to make. But I know the training that I had in band that I can function off a little bit of sleep. So I could do that. So that's the biggest thing that I take from the band world, man. But I will say this about this band camp thing. I know you didn't ask me, but I want to say this to anybody out there listening. If you want to lose weight or you got a fitness goal, go to a band camp. Any band camp. It could be a HBCU band camp. It could be a PWI band camp. It could be a white high school, a black high school, a Hispanic. Go to a band camp. You ain't got to touch no instrument. Just go. Just go, and anything that they do physical, you do it with them. Push-ups, running, marching, holding up your hands, just holding them up, just like you holding up an instrument. Just hold it there. It's fitness. So people always say, like you said, this one time at band camp, okay, you go see what it is. American Pie fooled you.
And drumline too.
Yeah, drumline definitely fooled you.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh man. Is there anything else though that taught you anything that you still take on in life nowadays?
Man, yes. How to communicate with people, dude. My God. You were trombone. This is the great Nathan Caldwell, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna take over as hostess for like the next 2 minutes. I know he probably don't like this, but I'm gonna do it. Don't kick me off. The great Nathan Caldwell was a great trombone section leader at the Norfolk State University Spartan Legion Band, and one of the greatest section leaders I had the opportunity to work with. And one thing I learned about Nate was, or why am I talking like you ain't here? The one thing you taught me, and I said it before, I don't know if you remember, but you were my greatest critic. I always said that you were my greatest critic, and you were my greatest critic because you were one of the leaders that I actually listened to because of your mindset, 2, where you come from, and 3, I respected you as a musician because I've heard you play. So being a drum major, I had section leaders and assistant section leaders. Then I had the rookie stuff to deal with. Then I had to keep in contact with the Spartan Cavalry. Then I had to keep in contact with the band staff and the band directors. So I had to keep in contact with all that stuff. But with all of those voices, man, I was able to filter out who I knew, I needed to talk to and listen to. And you were one of the few, man. And I'm not saying this because I'm on your show, but I've told you this before, and you probably forgot it over the years, man. But I highly respected you as a leader because of your ability to communicate and be able to be fair, not only to me, but to your section. You know what I'm saying? The trombones were always on it. So that was one thing that the band taught me, was who to listen to and why you shouldn't listen to the people you don't listen to. But it all falls back on communication.
Why you shouldn't listen to the people you don't listen to.
Oh, it's a lot of that. You want to go down that rabbit hole? Because there's plenty.
Go ahead.
It's plenty. Well, I ain't gonna say no names, because I'm not that kind of person. But there were people. I became assistant drum major in 2007. Andre was head drum major in 2007. Then I became head drum major in 2008. I had no idea what I was doing in 2008. Completely lost. Just out there getting my feet wet in the waters, getting yelled at by every single person, including Doc on the megaphone. I got threatened to get fired in front of the whole entire band. It was rough, man. So when 2009 rolled around, it was like, I got this, man. My mom had passed, and I was in the mindset of like, I got to do this. Like, my mom want me to do this. And that whole year was all for her, man. And that was the highest my grades have ever been in 2009, in fall 2009. That was the highest my grades ever been in spring 2010. So I was able to like matriculate through, man, and just get my own footing and learn how to take on the responsibilities and communicate with folks. Because being drum major ain't no easy thing at Norfolk State. I can't speak for nowhere else, but band director if you wearing that drum major uniform.
Yeah, yeah. We won't take this into a total and complete marching band conversation
Yeah,
because that'd be like another 2 hours or so, easily, easily.
yeah, we do it, man. I'm sorry.
But yeah, like mentally, like mind frame wise, like that's a thing that if anything I can remember, and just different colleagues from the band, rookie brothers, people that came before, people that came after it, that I can converse with, was that it's literally, and to correlate into just everyday life, it's a mentality.
Yeah,
Even to the extent of like, you on the podium and it's like I gotta listen to him talking about whatever he out there talking about, and I might not care right now. It's like, hey, like listening, like a part of the communication part. Like everybody might want to just always want to be on the talking side, but it's like, don't forget about that listening aspect as well, and just how important that part is as well. So even correlating that into parenthood or fatherhood, that a parent having to position themselves to not do a lot of all of the talking, but to also do some of the listening
oh yeah,
when the child is speaking, or the child, like how you said, like the crying isn't so much just weakness as one might see it as, but to see it as vulnerability. It's like, hey,
yeah,
is it something that I did? Is it something that I said? Even if it's a tone of voice that might have been shared, what can maybe be altered for the next time, that it's like, hey, I'm gonna be stern, but I'm gonna not just be like abusive or that
yeah.
aggressive.
Yeah, man. That's a real thing. Is listening to your child. Another thing that I had to learn. Um, one story in particular, it's a very short one, but I remember at one point in time, I was picking MJ up from elementary school. Keep in mind, elementary school students, if you have that communication with your child, they're gonna talk your ear off about their day. And this one day, I picked MJ up, bro. He got in the car with this little painting. I can't remember what the painting was, but he got in the car with this painting. And I was like, hey, kid, how was your day? Oh, it was great. Today we did this, and then it was this and this and this. And bro, he talked for almost 18 minutes. And I know it was 18 minutes because that's how long the drive was from the school to home. And legit talked for 18 minutes. And I was just sitting there like, yeah, really? Wow. And just that little bit of communication back with him, man, that's all I was doing more to listening. But that also goes back to, man, just of like you said, man, just listening to your child. And then in times when going back to the crying thing, that's also a form of their communication. They can't even verbalize what they're feeling, so they're so overwhelmed that they give you tears. And you as an adult have to be able to interpret that, hey, something's wrong in this instance. Sit them down, calm them down, talk to them. That MJ has taught me, again, the compassion aspect, man. He taught me that.
With your oldest, obviously, being in teenage years now, and at the brink of it, he's at the start, got another,
Oh, he a
6 or
teenager. Oh, he's a teenager. All the way, bro. Give that brother his flowers. He's a teenager, man.
Do you miss those times? Obviously, elementary school. So what, 5, 6 or so,
Yeah,
7, 8.
yeah.
Do you miss those times of when it was excessive talking compared to a little bit more reserved now being teenager?
Yeah.
Because, you know, teenagers are teenagers, and it's like, I don't want my parents to know this or that, or they might, think of me a certain way if I tell them this. So it's like, do you miss that?
Yeah, heck yeah, I miss it. Like I be trying to bribe MJ. Well, like, hey, bro, hey, I give you $20 if you come with me to this. He's like, how long do we have to go, Dad? Like, man, just get in the car, bro. Just come on, man. Hey, I just want you to ride with me up the street. You know what I'm saying? About 8 years ago, it was, Dad, can I come? Like, heck no, you can't go. What? Like, what? Sit down somewhere. So, do I wish I could have it back? Yes. But do he still give me that time and opportunity to still bond with him? Yeah, he do. But he's still a typical teenager, man. Like, we there are times when now, because he's a gamer, he's a big time gamer. I still game a little bit here and there. So, I walk in and be like, you losing, ain't you? What? Who's losing? You losing? Let me see. It's just a bunch of stuff going on the screen. I don't know, these new games. I'm like, all right, it looked like you winning. I guess you got it. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to keep a little bit of communication with him, man. Just fun stuff, man. Fun
Yeah.
kid, dude. But Kenji's coming around. So I know in about 2 or 3 years, I'll be getting my head talked off again. So I hope I don't have to eat those words, man.
That is true. You will have another opportunity for that.
Yeah, boy, it's coming.
Oh man, that's funny. That is funny.
Cause you got what? You got one?
I have no kids. I have nieces, nephews,
Oh, so you're a
great
father figure.
nephews, nieces.
Yeah, so you're a father
Uh
figure. You understand. You kind of you
yes,
somewhat get it.
somewhat,
So only
somewhat.
thing you ain't caught is the 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning haze when it's the wah, and you got to figure out if it's a wet diaper or a bottle. So you just do both.
Yeah. I don't have that personally myself yet. That's what's going to be drastically different when little one or ones are in place, and my sleep is deprived, and I'm having temper tantrums myself because I don't know how to deal with it. So my observation period is still continually in place until that time comes. So yeah.
Hey, if we being transparent, I tell you a true story, man. This is a true story. MJ was probably about 3 or 4 months old, bro, and I was living in Charlotte at the time with MJ's mom, and she was working overnight. So I would have MJ overnight. Luckily, he would sleep through the night. And so, by the time she get off, I go to work. So, we didn't have to worry about daycare or whatever, but eventually we put him in daycare. But during this time, it was just me and him. So I'm learning as a new father how to take care of this new human being that can't talk. And I ain't never been around no babies like that for real. Man, one night he would not stop crying. He was teething at this time. As a new father, I didn't know. He was teething. He had a little bit of temperature. Stomach was aching, all of that stuff, bro. And it was just one night, he just was just wailing. I tried to give him a bottle. He didn't want a bottle. I was about to change him. I had him on his changing table. I had his diaper off. I took that diaper off. He started wailing. And I just leaned over looking at him like, just tell me what you want. Bro, just tell me. Just please. Bro, I was done.
Mm.
I was done. And that part of when that part hits you as a father to where a child can control your emotions like that, dude, that's when you know, man. That's when you know you really stamped as a dad or as a parent. That night right there woke me up, and I was like, yeah, I'm a whole dad out here, man. Three months into the game,
Mm.
got me.
Yeah, I've asked this question before because it's come up before, and so I've kind of stuck with it. But I think you had basically took it from what you just said, because I had to ask, what made you decide that you wanted to be a father? And the only reason that I can ask that question is because, if we don't get taught it, all we know is the continual cycle, which is just to simply have a child, and then the system takes place. I mean, the system takes precedence, or you're in the picture, out of the picture, and that's back and forth until, for however long. But to actually make that decision as a man to want to be in place for the longevity of the child's life, what brings you to that point of wanting to actually decide to be a father? You touched on that, but I mean, if there's anything else that you want to add to that, feel free.
This might be a little bit of a longer answer, but I will answer it. I always knew I wanted to be a father. It was 3 things I always knew I wanted to be: band director, married, and a father. I got 2 of the 3 right now. I'm just waiting for God to send me Miss Right. So, you know what I'm saying? We could do this thing together. Always knew I wanted to be a dad. I always knew I wanted 2 boys. Of course, I can't control that outcome, but I always wanted my first child to be named after me, and I wanted my second child to be named, after my brother. Kenji's mom also has a brother. So Kenji's name come from her brother's name, which is Benji. So his name is Kenji. But she took it upon herself to name Kenji middle name William. She told me. I didn't even tell her that. I don't even think I ever told her that, but she just knew it, bro. So I knew I wanted to be a father. MJ wasn't planned. Kenji wasn't planned. But you cannot tell me right now, this day, that I will not be there for them. I'll lay down my life if I got to, without question. Won't nobody ever harm them. And if they do, they better think twice. Now, I ain't making no threats and like that, but those are my babies. You know what I'm saying? They ain't no men. Those are children. So I'll always be there for them. I never planned to be a father at that situation in that moment. I wasn't married. You know what I'm saying? I was just getting a job when MJ was born. I was just getting a job. Thankfully, I'm set and stable right now with Kenji. So, I'm able to provide for him a whole lot better than when I was when MJ was a baby, so those were two of the things, man. But did I plan for that at that moment? No, I didn't. 4 days after I walked the stage from Norfolk State, I'm sorry, 4 days before I walked the stage for Norfolk State, I had already had a baby. MJ was born, bro, May 3rd. I went straight from that stage, straight back to him, changing diapers. So I hope I answered that question.
Man, yeah. I can't even remember if I remember that.
Because I was gone, Nate. I was gone. Thankfully, Mr. Booker exempted me from that piano exam because I was in the hospital with MJ. He was born, I think we had graduation finals week or whatever. MJ was born that Tuesday. I had Booker's exam that Wednesday, and he exempted. Thank God.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back. You kind of hinted at it, but I don't think you directly said it. But the bringing up of my children and not being in the household with them is the biggest hit to me as a father. It's the biggest hit because I always wanted to be able to raise my children in the home with me, because I never had it. And it's because of things that, I failed to do as a man with MJ's mom. And I also failed to do with Kenji's mom, and, as a man to them as women, I failed to do. And they had their shortcomings also, but we never let it get in between us co-parenting, man. MJ has never seen me and Kenesha argue. I refuse to let him see that. And I refuse to let Kenji see me and his mom argue. Like that's not gonna happen, bro. It's just not gonna happen. I believe in raising children separately and being happy that way than to be together and be miserable. I've seen that, man. So I don't want that for my child. You hinted at it, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no problem. And just from your perspective, obviously, why is that so significant, so important for a child to not see that, to not experience that, to not even have the opportunity of holding on to that?
I mean, a child will take that on, man. You want to talk about a magnet? A child is a magnet of emotions, and what they see at a young age, or even not even really necessarily at a young age, even in high school. You see your parents arguing and fighting, throwing stuff, breaking stuff. No matter what age you are, that's gonna take a toll on you, even as an adult. If you see your parents doing that, man, that's going to take a toll on you. You might be able to interpret it a different way. You can interact with them in a different way, communicate with them in a different way. But as a 4 and 5 and 6-year-old, seeing your parents do that, well, now you got to wake up and go to school the next day. And you got to see young Timmy and Tom and see them get in their little minivan with both their parents in the front seat and their siblings in the back. And they happy. They going off to CC somewhere. You know what I'm saying? While you got to get into your little 2-door or little 4-door. One of the doors work, one of the windows don't work, the AC don't work, and you got to roll the windows down. Now you got to go home and listen to your parents throw, fuss, kick and fight. I was about to say fuss and kick. I hope you can edit that out. But you got to go home and see that, man.
Yeah.
And that takes a toll on you because you see what's right, and then you see what you got to deal with. And, a lot of students that I have, they come up in that and they come and tell me these things. They tell me things, bro. I had to you didn't ask this, but I'm gonna tell you, I got a letter left on my desk one day. This is you asking about the father aspect at school. I just thought about this. Young girl, this is why I was working at the middle school. Young girl, she anonymously left a note on my desk and it was written in like colorful markers, like clearly, so I know it's a girl. She's like, Mr. Cofield, I don't want to go home. My dad is doing this and this to my mom. He's trying to do this to me and, just a whole lot of stuff. And I'm like, oh man, this ain't good. I need to call somebody right now. This is the first time I've ever had to report an incident. And, I went through the necessary protocols, contacted the necessary people. And of course, the 3-letter agency got involved. First letter starts with D. They got involved. And I had to go to the home, man. And for the first time in my life, dude, I had tears well up from seeing the way a student looked. And I never in my life ever want to experience that, man. And it was all because of what that father was doing in the home.
Wow.
All because of what that father was doing. And it was to the point to where if any man was to see that, I think any righteous man, you would have had the same response, man. And it's like, I can't do nothing, but I'm doing the best I can. And it was a tough experience, dude. Real tough.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, and I think in a way you were able to answer that in a different way as well, because it's typically that, that father, I don't think that he probably would have just learned that just later in life. Like
No.
he was exposed to that as well, and that just, stuck with him. So obviously in whatever types of ways that those things stick with a child.
Yeah, right. And so it's a girl. So now she's gonna grow up viewing every man just about that she run through, especially men that's close to her and her family, like they all do that same thing. And me being a male teacher at that school, the fact that she was able to trust me with that information shows that I was able to build a type of relationship and a level of trust with that student, man, with all my students, man, each and every last one of them.
Yeah, and
Same way.
fortunately, for her sake, she was able to communicate that. Like she in that way, even writing it, as a note to you, that she actually did communicate it instead of just allowing for it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was afraid, dude. She was afraid, man. When we pulled up to that house, they had to separate, the child from the parents, so they separated the child, the mom, the father. So they all asked the same questions and we all reconvened, came up with, all the same answers. And, I was one of the main ones. Like I was there till like 10:30 at night, dude,
Wow.
answering questions and talking to her and then talking to dad, or not talking to dad. I couldn't talk to him, but talking to mom because that it was a criminal case. And I was just like, man, this is wild, man. But I thank God that I'm blessed enough to have that spirit of discernment, and I have the wherewithal to know to be able to teach these young girls and young men, man, that you ain't got to be silent about none of this stuff, man. Have self-respect above all.
And as far as nowadays, especially if you have been able to in any kind of way keep in touch with that student, is she doing okay nowadays?
Yeah, she actually just graduated last year. She graduated high school last year out of 20 22. One of them years, I don't know, 2021, one of them years, I don't know. She graduated and she yeah, yeah, recently, that's what I should have said. And she sent me her graduation announcement. I still have it up in my safe, man. I still keep it. And she graduated, and I was able to go to her graduation party and all of that stuff and see her. Dad was there, it was all good, man. So all my students still keep in contact with me, man. I'm still I'm the one that they don't invite me to their parties because they know I'll embarrass them, but they'll invite me, to like the dinners and all of that stuff. But yeah.
Word, word, word. Just briefly, man, because we won't make this an all day, all night.
I'm really not trying to because I got a game I like to hop on,
Oh, but obviously you have your letters on, your Greek letters on, and we're not blind, and we won't, surpass that topic. And I mean, I don't really care too much for it because, it's what it is, biblically proven, however one might read it, or just personal reason, whatever the case might be. But what is your take on um the fuss, I guess you could say, the hoopla, whatever, as far as such conversations about idolatry, of one being within a Greek organization of your personal choosing, still being in your Greek organization, not denouncing or
Boy,
whatever.
Nate, you
Mm.
really getting your ratings up over here, man. You asking the questions, boy. You ain't pulling no punches. You should have prefaced this in the. I need this in black and white before I speak on this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell y'all, Nathan Caldwell is still my biggest critic. I don't believe he's asked this to nobody else except for me. He's trying to get me caught up.
I mean, there's always the I plead the fifth.
Man, God doggone well I ain't pleading no fifth. Look, man, here's my thing on this whole denouncing thing. Every single organization, when you join it, there is something you agree to. You agree to serve some people. You agree to, carry yourself as this type of person. You agree to uphold the standards of whatever it is your organization have. That's what you denouncing? That's what you go denounce? Positivity? Or are you denouncing the culture that's been created between people in the organization, the wrongdoings and the practices of traditions that have abused people. That's what you're denouncing, because if that's what you're going to denounce, then don't denounce the organization, denounce those people. Come out publicly about those people. Don't talk bad on the organization, because when you go and denounce Alpha Phi Alpha, or even Omega Psi Phi, when you denounce Delta Sigma Theta, when you denounce Alpha Kappa Alpha, that makes the organization look bad. It's the same thing as when you get a divorce, you ruin the children. You don't ruin the children in divorce. You go after that person, and you don't even have to necessarily go after that person. You get what's yours. So if you want to denounce in silence. Stop wearing your paraphernalia. Stop coming to meetings. But don't come out publicly speaking out on this, oh, they satanic. They worship the devil. And they, come on, man, that's nonsense, dude. So you mean to tell me you spent however many days, weeks, and months becoming a member just to turn around and say no? Well, then if that's the case, you don't need to be no parent either. See, you got me started, man.
You about to start throwing stuff over there.
Hey, bro. Like, man, what?
I don't know.
Beat me on the 50 tomorrow.
I ain't even got it in me still, but I'll do it.
What, real talk, man. That's I don't really do the whole social media thing a whole lot, but I'm not blind, and I've seen all of that stuff, man. I just stay quiet about it because I think it's just one of the dumbest things in the world, man. In the Black community, you want to try to denounce something in the Black community, like we need any of that? Give me a break.
It's a bit funny too, because I do not necessarily care to get into it to the point of wanting to entertain it, as well as to get myself emotional about it.
Yeah.
Or stressed about it. But all that I can, the conclusion that I've been able to come to, two main things rather, is a lot of people that are following a trend as far as, monkey see, monkey do. One person said that they feel this way. They've done it publicly. There's a reason that we need to do it publicly instead of privately. So I'm gonna just do the same thing too. Oh, idolatry. This is that, and the third. This is what the Bible says, and doing the same thing that we've always done as far as nitpicking and taking certain scriptures, and in some instances maybe even a little bit out of the proportion as far as what it means. The other thing, though, is what came to what was revealed recently, rather, was the denouncing is what's been taking place versus what really should be taking place, which is renouncing. Denouncing is wanting to speak against it. The renouncing is the actual taking a stand against it.
Yes.
And so that's the most of what I care to want to say as far as going into it, because I know once people see this, they're gonna have whatever to say and still feel about it. And
man, I don't care. Look, man, Omega Psi Phi is the greatest fraternity in the world. You hear me? We're the greatest fraternity in the world. There is no fraternity greater. We have fed many of families. We've built homes. We've educated over 100 millions of scholars. We've put people through college. We've helped broken families. You know what I'm saying? We've done a whole lot of things for humanity, not just recently, but for humanity. Charles R. Drew.
Mike, even if that's the case, why would one need to join, be a part of, or choose to remain a part of such of an organization to do these things and to partake in idolatry?
You don't have to. But that's the thing. You don't have to. But if you make that choice, if you make that decision to go that route and you join it, then don't go out speaking. Nate, if somebody joined the trombone section in 08 or 09 while you were section leader, and they went through the entire season and they got down to like one of the last games, that they in your section now, they're a rookie. They're a rookie. And they get all the way down to like one of the last games. I would say, what was it, like Fishbowl? Is like Fishbowl or like maybe Battle of the Bay or something like that? That's like later in the season, like late October. Homecoming.
Yeah, homecoming.
All right. They get down to homecoming. And after homecoming, so that's pretty much this point of the season for Norfolk, because we really ain't got no classics other than Battle of the Bay and Fishbowl and Labor Day, of course. They get down and they quit. But instead of them just quitting, they go to the provost. They go to the board of directors. They go to the vice president of student affairs, and they write this long letter of why they don't want to be in the band no more, because they got to wake up early to go to band practice. Band practice take too much time. Nathan Caldwell make me have to learn music. Bruh, just quit the band silently. Go. Ain't nobody making you be here. So you want to say idolatries and all that stuff, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's your choosing. Don't publicly humiliate yourself and this organization that did nothing wrong to you. If this organization did something wrong to you, that's your fault for letting it happen. Don't publicly shame somebody, because that's somebody's husband, father, wife, sister, brother, niece, nephew that you're including in on your story, and you're tearing them down.
Yeah, good point to just let simmer for a second, because like I said,
I know it's a father podcast, and I'm sorry about that.
but I mean, it's fathers that are a part of organizations to any extent. And it's like, it's amazing that, if I could throw that word attack out there, that it seems like it's directed to solely Black Divine Nine Greek organizations,
Yep.
compared to being any Greek organization, Greek lettered organization across the board. But it's specifically Black Divine Nine Greek organizations. But there's fathers that are in any of those organizations. And if you want to speak of an organization altogether, that goes into the workforce, that goes into the professional field, that goes into church. So, let's either be for it all or be against it all. That's what I usually say. However, though, for closure.
Yeah, man. I agree with you, bro. Don't think I'm not agreeing with you, man. I agree with you wholeheartedly, dude.
In closing, and of course, I just wanted to ask that because of the paraphernalia, and somebody to watch to be like, I wonder why he didn't ask about that. For any of the viewers, any fathers, aspiring fathers, even established fathers, single fathers like yourself, maybe even married, what is a one, two, or a few things that you can leave with us on today? Words of wisdom, just experiential knowledge that you could share with our fathers and our dads on today.
Well, I think you taught me something to continue to reiterate, is to listen more. That would be the lasting thing that I think I would leave with. Again, I said MJ taught me compassion and patience, but the listening aspect is what I can say that I am going to do better with Kenji, because I know I did a good job with MJ, because clearly he's perfectly fine, a straight A student, very mannerable, a loving kid, man, and can't ask for much better, but the listening factor, man, you brought that up, man, and I won't forget it. Like, I think I'm going to take this into my classroom, and like in the very, very near future, I'm going to take this into my classroom to listen to the kids more, because I do a lot of talking as a teacher. I'm used to talking, and I do a lot of listening to the kids, but now I'm even more aware, because you brought it up, and I've actually been able to talk about it, because I don't talk much, with adults about it, but you've made me more aware that I need to listen more. So that'd be the one thing that I leave with all you fathers, man, is to listen to your children. Male, female, or don't matter who they are, listen to them. Even if you're a father figure to somebody, listen to them. Ask them questions. Ask them how they're feeling. How was their day? What do they want? What do they want to do? Where do they want to go? What do they want to eat? What do they want to drink? Where you want to sleep? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, man, just by listening. So that'd be my lasting impression.
Oh, man. Anything else, just all together, that you want to leave with us on today?
Yeah, I just want to say the Georgia Bulldogs will win the national championship this upcoming season. And I also will say this season, upcoming, meaning any season that's coming up, the Denver Broncos, we might win. I'd say by now, we'll probably win like maybe 9 to 10 games. Ain't gonna be that bad. The Phoenix Suns fan, I think you should throw the whole franchise away, get a whole new franchise, because they terrible. Every sports team in the state of Florida is terrible. Get rid of them. The Dallas Cowboys need to be pink from now on, because they play just like that color, soft. And the New York Knicks is trash also. So there, I'll leave it on that.
That's amazing that you had gone through, starting off with just the drastic difference of dynamics that, it was just so hard in the paint for Georgia Bulldogs, but Denver Broncos was just like, just
Bro, look here. I have been a diehard Georgia Bulldogs fan since 2004, since the year I graduated high school. Can't tell me nothing since then. I know people like, oh, you bandwagon. Try me. I can name every quarterback from the year 2004, every wide receiver and running back, most offensive linemen and tight ends. Try me. Just want to make that clear. I'm also a Norfolk State football fan. As bad as we are right now, Jesus help us. Why you do that face like?
I mean, um,
Nah, say it, Nate. Say it.
I mean,
Say it.
I would love for the home team to just be able to take care of business. That's all I can say. Because we never had the accolades of being able to go to this place and that place because of the football team. And
Your absolute befuddlement and confusion on what to say is the most funniest thing. Yeah, I think I've seen it in a while, dog.
I don't know, man. We got a president that's in place who got me beat, man. But yeah, I would definitely love for the home team to finally take care of some business and just shock the world. If anything, shock the state of Virginia, shock the HBCU realm altogether. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was many of games. Just we played the fights. There were enough times we played the fight song at the beginning of the game.
And that was it. Bro. It was after that. If we kicked the field goal, it was like, all right, fight song tag. Here we go, ready? That was it, bro. I don't recall playing the fight song, like calling that joint. No, there were like
we had some times.
Yeah. There were times, and I know in like 08, definitely 09, when the team was like nice, when we were, running the fight song pretty good. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, dog.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, good times, bro.
But the basketball team is
track
and field.
Basketball school all day, man. Norfolk State basketball is an elite program.
Yeah.
If we could just get past Howard, you know what I'm saying, then we'll be good, dude. We'll be good.
Yeah, man. But that's pretty much it.
Hey, man, Nate, I appreciate this, man. I appreciate this. To all your views, I appreciate y'all for watching and looking and listening, all of that stuff, and I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, Cofield, man, for sure. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight, everything that you did care to share on today. I'm Walking with Dad, for sure. Appreciate you. Walking with Dad, I appreciate you, and for sure, anything that was shared today that you have been able to, take heed of, that you appreciate, that you can go ahead and implement yourself. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, and share with somebody. Share with some family members. Share with some friends. Share with some father friends, some dad friends, some deadbeat dads. Some,
I don't know no deadbeats. I don't keep in contact with them.
Hey, they you might not know them, but they're there somewhere. But hey, share with them. Share with them. Get the word out. Get this algorithm going. And until next time, definitely appreciate you and thank you for tuning in.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.